Today I want to talk about the pernicious effects of materialism. Materialism meaning the desire for excesses, things we don't need. Kind of the opposite of Prabhupada's saying simple living and high thinking. How does consumerism, materialism, capitalism, marketing, living in the modern world affect us? Well, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, whether we think we are affected or not, we're being programmed to desire things which we don't need. This is the fundamental of materialism, of a capitalist culture, to produce products which are not necessary, and then to incite the so-called need for them, which is really the greed for them. Much of what we have we don't need. If you threw away half of what you have in your house, you would be fine. You probably still have too much. So when we become devotees, there is one problem I think that affects all of us. As we become devotees, we think somehow or maybe we're transcendental or immune to this conditioning, but the conditioning that affected us before we became devotees, it's there, it's in there, and we have to overcome it. Some of us are more conditioned, some of us are less, but that conditioning is there. And naturally, because we're trying to be controllers and enjoyers, the desire to accumulate things, whether it's material things like a bigger this or a better that, or a newer this or a newer that, or a position to get some honor in society, or to achieve a goal, it's all part of the same desire to control, desire to enjoy. Now, if we look at the world today, people, as you know, completely mad about possessing things. They'll work hard at jobs they hate to buy things they don't need for whatever reason, thinking they'll be happy or they can impress people. And we look at that and we think, this is totally insane. And we're right, but are we caught up in it to some degree? Yes, we are, or most of us are, or many of us are. And that tells us that this conditioning has gone very deeply, not only from the time before we were devotees, but still we're faced with it all the time. And we need to reflect on the values that Prabhupada has shared with us or desired for us to live. And I think in many cases, or in most cases, we'll admit that perhaps we don't live as simply as we should or could. Perhaps we are very much affected by the consumer mentality of more is better and bigger is better, and I don't have enough and my neighbors have more and I need to get that, and if I get that I'll be happy, and it'll be nicer to have this and this color that and this and the new improved this. And that's not the way Prabhupada wanted us to live, and ultimately it's not the way someone who's relishing Krishna consciousness would live. So I just wanted to bring it to our attention. Probably you know this, but I strongly feel that we don't realize how conditioned we are by this need to have more, get more, even though we're devotees. And I think that's a problem all of us face, that when we become devotees, we tend to think we're immune to a lot of things we're not immune to just because we're devotees. Oh, I'm not like everybody else. But we see that in many ways we are like everyone else. And when we criticize Christians for not really being Christians, maybe we need to turn that around and look at ourselves and say, how much am I reflecting the values of Krishna consciousness by the way I think, by the way I live, by what I have, by my future goals, and so forth. So I don't think we can underestimate the power of Prabhupada's program. He really, really would prefer all of us to simplify our lives as much as possible, focus on service, do some austerity, live comfortably with what we need, but not live an unnecessarily extravagant life. Now, I just want to end with one example. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a mining industry, a diamond mining industry, right? And so as you know, diamonds are expensive. They're not expensive because they're rare, because they're not rare. They're expensive because the industry is dominated by one company, monopolized. And they determine how many diamonds to release on the market. They're also the ones who propagated the idea that wedding rings or engagement rings need to be made of diamonds. So, So when we're getting married, we want the diamond ring. Why? Why do you want the diamond ring? What does that mean? Of course, Indians, they do the gold necklace. But why do Westerners want the diamond ring? Because this industry programmed that into you, and you grow up thinking that's what you're supposed to do. And what if your husband doesn't give you a diamond ring? And you think he doesn't love me. That's the sign of love, the diamond ring. Or it's Valentine's Day, and you don't get your wife something that your wife thinks you don't love. Valentine's Day is just a holiday invented by capitalists as a means to sell. Here I am in Amsterdam, and you know what they're having in Amsterdam? What they had a few days ago? They had Black Friday. What is Black Friday? Well, in America, we have a holiday called Thanksgiving. Usually comes the end of November on a Thursday, and it's to celebrate thanks because when the harvest came in the fall, this is how the pilgrims celebrated. So how do we celebrate now, the harvest? We have Black Friday. Black Friday is the day when all the prices, I can't say all the prices, but many prices in many stores are slashed, and people go crazy. In fact, some people line up overnight to be the first in to get the deals. And now they're having Black Friday in Amsterdam or in different cities in Europe or who knows where. And it was an American holiday, but it became, yeah, it's a great way to make money, right? Get more people shopping. So we grew up taking these things for granted. Oh, it's Valentine's Day, I should buy this. Oh, it's Black Friday, I should go shopping, get the deals. Oh, it's Christmas, I have to buy presents. Yeah, it's nice to buy presents, of course. It's a birthday, people are going to give me presents. Okay, but these holidays were invented so that we would spend money on things we don't need. And it as you know, there's a whole, it's just the whole consequence, domino effect of polluting the earth, putting people in hellish factories to work, making a small amount of people wealthy. Few percent of the population of the world owns about half the wealth, and there's this huge inequality. Whereas in previous times, everybody was poor. Everybody just had what they needed. It wasn't a problem. They didn't have luxury items. Luxury items didn't exist. If they did, it was only the wealthy that could afford them. Now everything has changed. So materialism is a real disease, and if you really look into it and study it, it's linked to evolutionary theory. There's no soul. Nothing lives on after. They're married together. They go really well. They synergize one another. Philosophers have adopted philosophies which support materialism. It's a total mess. And so we should be conscious of it and not allow ourselves to be too absorbed or involved in it by accumulating what is unnecessary. It's not good for us, and it's not good for the earth. And it's just contributing to a problem we should be solving.